and you're listening to Communities Live on Sheffield Live Radio 93.2 FM with me, Susie Casson, T-Boys in the Kitchen, and we're joined in the studio by Vicky Seddon. Welcome, Vicky. Thanks
Hello
for coming
there.
in. Hi. So we're going to chat about this event on Friday. Together with Jane Lindsay Thomas, you've organised a vigil to coincide with the inauguration of Donald Trump.
Yes, we're organising a vigil in Tudor Square. That's the square outside the Crucible and the Lyceum. And it's at 5:30 on Friday. And we hope that lots of people will come.
Fantastic. So what inspired you to organise the Candlelit Vigil?
Well, over the autumn period, if you remember the presidential campaign in the United States, there were lots of things coming out of that which we thought were very divisive, very negative messages about people not liking other people not disparaging other communities, but a lot of divisiveness against foreigners, negative attitudes to women, making fun of disabled people, gay women, gay people having rights to marriage, etc. And of course, some of those messages are also being picked up here and also in the continent. If you think about some of the elections which are coming up on the continent, so those ideas, that negativity is not just in America. It's in many different parts of the world, and that concerns us, and we want to kind of send a different message of unity, solidarity, democracy, respect for people.
Absolutely, yeah. And it's almost like there's a sharp change in society, and things that have probably been hidden before were suddenly being openly expressed, weren't they? Did you feel that?
And being openly expressed, and because they were being openly expressed and not seen as outrageous by some people, and certainly by the voters in America, it gave them a legitimacy which I think shocked some of us. And so that whole thing about wanting to stand up and do something about it and show that's not the only show on the road.
Exactly, yes. So what kind of people are you hoping will come along on Friday to the vigil?
Well, the invitation is open to everyone. We know that in Washington, women are organising a big march. And also in London on Saturday, women are organising a big march. And of course, Jane and I are both women. So we very much hope that women, who are, of course, the majority of our population, will come. But we're not restricting it to women. We're hoping everybody will come. Men and women, young people, old people, people with no religion, people with religion. Everybody, people from different ethnicities, communities. Everyone is welcome to come and share with us those messages of hope, of solidarity.
Great. So that's 5:30 p.m. in Tudor Square.
That's right, yes.
Yeah. Is there anything planned to happen?
Yes, we're going to light candles. We're going to have lots of candles. We want the whole floor of Tudor Square. The more the merrier. We're asking people to bring their candles, but we've also got the Darnell Gospel Community Choir coming, and they're going to sing some songs for us. And there'll be some things that people can join in the singing. And also we're having some short speeches from a variety of people representing a variety of the Sheffield communities. And that's quite important to us, that we try to be inclusive, and we're hoping that the people who will come will be very respectful of each other, that any banners they bring will carry those messages of hope, unity, solidarity.
Absolutely, yeah. Great. And do you know how long the vigil might last?
Well, we're talking about 5:30 till 6:30, something like that, just an hour. Yeah.
Great.
After work, after school, before the kind of the evenings, theatres and celebrations happen. So that little time to come together.
Yeah, it sounds like it'd be amazing visually, won't it?
Well, we hope so. We think Tudor Square is quite a good place to have, it's quite an open space, and we're hoping that lots of people walking past will see what we're doing and maybe want to come and join us.
Great. So it's the inauguration of Donald Trump on Friday. What do you think are people's main concerns regarding what that might mean?
Well, like I was saying, I think the negative messages, the attitudes of people within what I would call a me society, parts of society, those attitudes that don't really take account of communities. And I think the whole thing about having a president who has not only not dissociated himself from those negativities, but in a way encouraged and encapsulated them within his messages, which means it gives them a legitimacy which many people are fearful of in terms of changing the world. And we live in a global world, don't we? It's not, of course countries are separate, but at the same time, our media means that we are, the messages translate across the whole world. And so that legitimising of things which are negative is our main concern.
Yeah, absolutely. And I suppose somebody might say, well, America's America and the UK's the UK, so what does a change of American president mean to us? What would you say to those?
Well, already we've had Mr Gove going and talking to Mr Trump and saying how brilliant it all is. And Mr Trump has already been saying things like, well, Brexit is wonderful. So he's not dissociating himself from the rest of the world. He's already made statements, hasn't he, about China, about Russia, which is an indication that all those connections across the world, it's not just the United States, it's the world, the influence in the world, and how things that happen in one country have knock-on effects in other countries, including here in the UK, where we've seen reportedly an increase in hate crimes since all of that. Those messages have been legitimised. So what happens in one part of the world isn't contained. It kind of leaches over into other things, and I think particularly ideas, ideology, messages. And so it's really important that we all live in different communities, not just the communities we live in, but our families, our work community, our if we are religious, our religious communities, our interest groups, our campaigning groups, the things that we get involved in, many different overlapping communities that we have, and how those are important to us. It's not just us as individuals, but how within communities we're important, and trying to legitimise and validate and recognise how important it is for us to work together and to be together and find ways of linking up, sharing. We might disagree about things, but can we find ways that we can work together on some things? And I think the message that we're hearing at the moment is against that. It's about doing deals rather than working together, and that's why we think that it's very relevant for the United Kingdom, and of course as well as for the rest of the world.
And a lot of the equality that we've fought for and had could easily be lost, couldn't it?
Indeed. I mean, things like gay marriage, which is now gaining credibility in certainly here, many parts of the and where it's becomes controversial, where it's being dismissed. And of course things have been moving in the United States in a positive direction, but now, like I say, the forces of negativity and repression are feeling more confident, and that is very worrying for us.
Yes. And do you think that Trump's inauguration might have a considerable impact, particularly on women?
Well, some of the remarks he's made during the campaign, and again, I think that it's not just what he says, it's the fact that it resonates with other people, and picks up and encourages them to think that is legitimate to think those things, whereas women have been battling for years, haven't we, to gain an equal status, equal respect, and then somebody comes and kind of cuts through all of that, and lo and behold, he's not rejected for it. So that's the worrying thing, and I think the fact that women in America are organising this big demonstration on Saturday and in London are indications of just their concerns. Like I say, that's important, but we in Sheffield want to do it across genders. We want people from all communities to come together. But of course, women in particular will be very welcome at our vigil.
Great, it sounds wonderful.
Okay.
Can you just remind us of the details again?
Yeah, sure. It's Friday the 20th of January at 5:30. We'll be starting we'll be gathering, lighting candles. We'll be having some short speeches. We'll be having a choir. We'll be hoping that people can join in some of the singing. And we welcome people from across Sheffield, men, women, old, young, gay, straight, people with disabilities, anybody, people from different ethnicities, different churches, different mosques, different religions, and of course people who have no religion. All are welcome, and we look forward to seeing you then and feeling strengthened by the fact that we're